Welcome back to the Coach Dad podcast, where we talk faith, family, and the mindset it takes to raise champions on and off the field. I'm your host, Mama Rushhh, and I'm glad you're here. Today, we have a special guest, our daughter, Mia. She was raised on the same principles as our athletic kids, but she's not an athlete. She's an artist, a lover of films, and a YouTuber, host of Movies with Mia, where she reacts to classic Hollywood films. We love this contrast because the same truth we teach on the field works in the studio, the classroom, and the editing bay. The process doesn't just lead to the promise, it builds a person who can carry it. Let's get into it. Hi, Coach Dad.
How goes it?
How goes it? Hey, Mia.
Hi, everyone.
All right, let's start with first things first. Coach Dad, you were just in San Diego. Tell us about it.
All right. Well, David had his first out-of-state recruiting visit
Yay.
to San Diego State. Was an rather awesome time. He received an offer to play football there, and so we were super excited.
Super
And,
excited.
You know, this is a beginning to decision making and going through a process of recruitment and figuring out what home fits for our little guy going forward. I say a little guy, but he's a big guy, and
He's our little guy.
he's the baby boy.
The baby boy, that's right.
Yeah.
But today, we're not featuring the baby boy. We are featuring Mia. Mia is the eldest child that grew up in the Rushhh household. And as you know, Mia has, as I mentioned, Mia has a YouTube channel, Movies with Mia. Mia, I'm so glad that you agreed to come on this podcast. Seriously, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have this conversation with you guys today.
That's really awesome. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. Like, is there anything that you want to just share to let people get to know you a little better? Because let me tell you where I'm going with this. Because we talk so much about, parenting and athletics and parenting, athletic kids to help them to get to the next level. And you grew up in the household, but you're not, you are not an athlete.
Right.
How did some of those principles help you, with your own goals? I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I would say a lot of the principles that you and Dad taught me have made such an impact in my life, especially with decision making, the career field that I decided to go into, my hobbies, and just generally, how I live life. One of the main things that I really take away is not to settle for mediocrity and to bring the best version of yourself to whatever you do, whether that be in the interview room, to your workplace.
Right.
It's been very beneficial to have those principles in my life.
One of our prior episodes, we talked about giving your very best,
Right.
And not us never expecting perfection, because that's not even attainable.
Right.
But Dad always says, give me your best and I can live with that.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's really nice to hear you. Like, kind of, it's nice to hear your child kind of regurgitate what you've taught them. So thank you for that. That was a little mini gift that you gave me. So I thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So why don't we get right into, we're just going to get right into the questions. Coach Dad, are you ready?
I am. Let's go.
All right, let's go. Now, I'm looking at my production note for this episode, and I see the curse of knowledge. Please talk about that. Tell me what that is.
So the curse of knowledge is actually from a conversation I had with a good friend of mine, Kirby. Kirby is one of the leading, foremost officials in high school football around here, and really solid guy. And he's constantly just giving me little nuggets of things. And I was talking to him about something, and he was like, "That's actually the curse of knowledge." And I was like, "Got it." And it was an experiment that was done where you had two groups, and one was trained to do a certain thing, and the other, had to have it explained to them. And so the group that was familiar with the exercise, tried to teach it to the other group and assumed that everybody in their little test group would get it. And only roughly about 30% got it.
Because everybody didn't have context.
Right? Everybody didn't have context. And so what
Ah.
happens is it reminded me, and I'm so glad that Mia is here, it reminded me of homework time or trying to teach a new thing to the kids and losing patience because you forget as a expert in something or a knowledgeable person in something what it was like to not know. And so the curse of knowledge is, as a knowledgeable person, not only do you forget what it was like to not know, you get impatient when they don't get it instantaneously. And we often assume that our children or whoever it is that you're trying to teach something um, should get it immediately, as though they learn the same way you do.
I really like that you're bringing this up because I really experienced this in the workplace, but it was such an awesome experience because I knew what type of a trainer I would never want to be.
Mhm.
I wanted to give people an opportunity to learn the material, make sure that I'm reteaching it
Mhm.
so that they are comprehending it and able to use it.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
So for me, as a former classroom teacher,
I don't think a lot of people knew that about you, by the way. They don't know that you're a teacher.
Once upon a lifetime, I was a classroom teacher. And if a child failed, it wasn't because the child couldn't get it. I couldn't figure a way out to get it to them the way they needed to. And so I had to go back to the drawing board and without getting too technical, the teachers out there know what I'm talking about when we talk about multiple intelligence and different ways of learning and so forth, so on. But I can't cookie cutter my way to teaching something. I have to figure out how it is that you learn it and give it to you the way you need it and have the patience to let you get it in your timing. And that's often what happens. And so when you hear me talk about the curse of knowledge, that little nugget I got from Kirby, it's to not assume that because I have it, they should get it. Get it in the same way I got it and in the time frame that I got it. Be patient enough to walk them through at their own pace, as we talked about last time, running their own race. And each child is different. Each of you guys were different. You were different from Cruz, and Cruz was different from John, who was different from David, who was different from Michelle. And we just listed a lot of kids.
I was going to say, and you just called Elijah John.
Oh.
So we'll just explain really quick. His name is Elijah. That is his first name. His middle name is John. At home, we call him John. So if you ever hear us refer to John, we are talking about Elijah.
So again, the curse of knowledge. What I would say, because I hear it with parents, I hear it with coaches, what's wrong with you? Why can't you get this? And so forth, so on. But again, it's, have you gotten it to them the way they need it? What did you explain it well enough? And what often gets us to frustration is maybe we don't know it well enough to break it down and make it more simple.
And another thing I really wanted to bring up was really taking the shame out of teaching in terms of allowing the person that you're teaching to understand it rather than kind of giving this sort of negative reinforcement of, I don't know why you don't get this.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And not belittling them
Exactly.
in the process because you're frustrated.
Exactly.
Because then what does that do? That
Right.
lowers their confidence. And I feel like confidence is really the foundation of everything.
It really is. It's very important, especially in your own self-worth as well.
Mhm. So going back to the 90-10 series, as we talked about confidence and believing in yourself and self-talk. And are you a drain or are you a fountain? Are you draining? Yes. Are you draining from, your child, your trainee, whoever it is you're trying, to get the information? or are you pouring into them? Are you tearing them down because you're frustrated and bringing shame to their not getting it in the time frame that you want them to get it? And figuring out ways to make it more simple or to explain it to them. You know, we had an example of that with one of our children when they were being coached. Um, just a switch from another coach stepping in and saying, "Hey, look at it this way.
It
Approach
made
it."
all the
Yeah,
difference.
yes, made all the difference. And it was just one suggestion, one example, one demonstration, and it made a world of difference from an hour long of coaching. Just that one example changed everything. And we often think that we're meeting the mark and they should get it. And what's wrong with you instead of what am I missing in getting them the information?
That's profound.
Coach, so on that note, make the case for failing toward growth. We often look at failure as
Mm.
just the ultimate, low, but make the case for us on failing towards growth.
Well, one of the things that we talk a lot about is the process and suffering and going through this or that. And you learn more in your losses than your wins.
Yeah.
You learn about yourself, you learn about your character, you learn about your resilience. And there's so many more things that you're building sometimes in your failures that strengthen you for these successes,
Mm.
not just um, for your overall wins, but to build humility, to build the calluses, to have resilience, to be able to bounce back just after you've fallen. When you have early success, um, you generally don't build the skill set necessary to have the resilience that when you hit a bump in the road, it's not the end of the road. You're not going to die here.
I'm not going
All
to die
those
here.
things come through losses, through falling, through coming up short, and then having to fight your way through to success
Right.
instead of just automatically winning. And I heard this one track coach talk about the fact that kids that succeed early in track don't succeed once they don't reach the same levels once they hit um, high school and college,
Mhm.
and then after college they kind of disappear because they didn't build the skills or the resilience necessary for when they reached a level when everybody was great.
Wow.
They didn't have the work ethic to outwork those people because now they're on a level where it's not I'm just biologically beating everybody because I'm faster. I'm just, genetically made up that way. Now I'm on a level where everybody's made up that way. Now what do I do? How do I separate myself? And so a part of what it talk about failing into success or failing forward is it's in those hardships that you develop the resilience, you develop the skills, you develop the things necessary to get to that next level. And I heard one pastor, I think it was Philip Anthony, talk about that I wish or I pray for failure to temper your success,
Oh, wow.
Wow.
to give you some perspective of the value of that success, that it's just not any old thing. It's something that has value and that you had to work towards, and you know what it's like to not have it.
All right, coach. So I want to just kind of bring everything together. I'm looking at my production note and I see that we're going to be talking about ounces versus tons. Please talk to us a little bit about that. Let us understand what that's about.
So I saw this quote that said, discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons.
Ooh.
Wow.
And
Ooh.
so how that's applicable to everything that we're talking about is you could have the discipline to prepare yourself to have a podcast, to uh, be ready for whatever sport that you're involved in, or you can have the regret of failing because you didn't prepare.
Hmm.
Now, in our own kids' life, it's making sure that you have the grades, making sure that you've stayed on top of your homework, making sure that you've trained and you've worked and you've done the extra things necessary, making sure that you've followed up with coaches, making sure that you've done all those things. So now when you show up, um, you're not regretting, wondering, what if only I had, making sure that you're getting in front of those things and you're having the discipline to do what needs to be done because it needs to be done,
Hmm.
and not the regret of not having done it.
Coach, you wrote that the true test is who we become while we wait. At least that's what it says here on my production note.
Uh-huh.
I really like the way that you structure these production notes, by the way, because I don't have a lot of context. So it's really nice to just not have the context ahead of time and let you just explain it to me. So if you would, please explain it to me.
Well, in this case, what are you doing in preparation while you're waiting? What Who you're becoming is, are you becoming better while you wait?
Yeah.
Are you becoming bitter while you wait?
That is
All right, Mia's got something to say.
no, that's so profound because I find myself in a waiting season, and just the transformation that God has put me through has given me so much perspective on this new season that he's bringing me into. And I do believe that he has made me better, because there are so many times when you want to be bitter about the waiting because the
Mhm.
waiting is not fun. That's not the
No.
fun part. But it is so crucial to your growth to have these moments where it's like it it to have these moments where you are going through the hardship and you're feeling like the tension because it's growth and it's growing you and it's only making you better to take you into that new season.
Right. And then trusting that
Yes,
his timing is
that
perfect.
his timing is perfect.
And I know, as a parent of an athlete, um, you are waiting for them to get their opportunity. You're
Mhm.
waiting for them to get playing time. You're waiting for all these things. And you're like, man, I know they can do it right now. But God is saying, nope, it's not time.
Yeah,
And we want to jump on the coach. We want to jump on everybody else. And we're giving power to everybody else
right,
but God.
right.
And again, without getting into anybody's belief or faith,
Mhm.
I believe that God has a perfect timing in everything. And
Absolutely.
even if it's just a couple opportunities, when God is in control of it, the
Mhm.
math don't matter.
Right.
He can do more with my little than I could do with having all the plays.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. We got to rewind the tape a little bit. You just said when God is with you, the math doesn't matter.
The math doesn't matter. It
Wow.
doesn't matter how little you have. It doesn't matter how much you have. It doesn't matter how much you have of you,
Mm.
because he's going to strengthen you to go through whatever that process is. But sometimes he's taking you or strengthening you in the waiting that we often get impatient with, and we want God to do something right now.
Right.
And we're actually mad with God, but we're blaming everybody else.
Right. Yeah, that's deep. I think one other thing is you said, talking about how much you have or how little you have. I think also how much you see in terms of progress or how
Right.
little you see, because it's hard to believe, oh, this promise is about to be fulfilled, something beyond your imagination,
Mhm.
but you cannot see it.
Right.
And so having the faith to know that, but God said, surely it will come. And believing in that, I think is crucial.
You're preaching a little bit, man.
And just what I'm going through right now.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think I was going to say, man, that's a great place to wrap it up. Mia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Honestly, been so much fun.
And thank you for bringing the artist lens to the same family principles. Nice to hear it from a different perspective. If today challenged you to trade passion for discipline, or helped you to see the waiting as part of the building, share this with a parent, teammate, or creative who needs it. You can find past episodes and resources on our website, www.podpage.com/coach dad with 3 Ds. And remember, dedication fuels you, discipline shapes you, and development carries you. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.